Welcome to this lecture video. I am your faculty Rajiv BR. I am going to engage the remaining portions of Basic Electrical Engineering course, which is a common course for all the first year branches, for all the first year engineering branches. So during this vacation, to prevent the spreading of this COVID-19, I would like to engage the remaining portions of Basic Electrical Engineering. Okay. So before going to actually into the remaining portions, just we shall review what we were discussing in the class. Okay, we were discussing about module number 3, it's on transformers. We have discussed the definition of transformer, the principle of operation, the construction, the necessity or the need of the transformer, EMF equation of the transformer, transformer on no load, transformer on load. Okay, transformer on no load, transformer on load, the related vector diagrams, and we have discussed about the different losses in the transformer. So we were only left out with efficiency of the transformer and the numerical problems relating to it. Okay, so I feel better to restart this module in this lecture video. Means again from the basics of transformers, from the definition and all, we shall start this lecture video and we shall finish this till efficiency, whatever the portions that is prescribed for your engineering, basic electrical engineering course in this concept of transformers, in the topics of transformers. Okay, so before understanding the principle of transformer, we just review the basic laws of electromagnetic induction, Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, and simultaneously we shall learn the principle of operation. Okay, simultaneously we will learn the principle of operation. Hope you people have already discussed about this laws of electromagnetic induction in your PU level itself. Okay, so what Faraday's first law states? Faraday's first law states, if you take a coil, if you take a coil, I'm writing here a coil. What is a coil? A coil is one which is formed by wounding a wire into number of turns on a magnetic core, on a core material. If it is wounded on a core material, then it will become a coil. If no core is there, then it will become a air cored coil. So this is how a coil is formed. Say for example, it has n turns. N turns means number of turns it is wounded. 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. How many turns? N number of turns it has. Then this is a n turn coil. Okay, what Faraday's first law states, if you give an alternating voltage, say sinusoidal voltage, if you give a sinusoidal voltage to this coil, a current will flow through this. This current is also sinusoidal. Due to this current, if it is a conductor, if the current direction is in this direction, if the thumb represents the direction of the current, then the remaining fingers represents the direction of the magnetic flux. What is magnetic flux? It's a imaginary lines of forces. It cannot be seen by your eyes. It's a imaginary lines of forces, but it can be experienced. Okay, so it's imaginary lines of forces. Magnetic lines of forces will be there. If you pass an electrical current, so when you pass an electrical current through this, the magnetic flux will be created. Since the applied current since the applied current is also alternating in nature, say if it is sinusoidal, the produced flux is also alternating in nature and it is also sinusoidal. It is also sinusoidal. So when this flux is also alternating in nature, say for example, if this flux is, I will mark flux as phi. Okay, phi. Phi. It varies with respect to time. It's also varies with respect to time. Okay, it's also on the time scale, it varies. If it varies with respect to time, an alternating flux is created. So when an alternating current is passed through a coil, an alternating flux is produced. And it is according to Fleming's thumb rule, that is, whenever a current is passed through a conductor, if the thumb represents the direction of the current, then the remaining fingers will represent the direction of the flux. So this magnitude of flux will be increased by wounding it into number of turns. Because if this is 1 turn, 2 turn, 3 turn, the flux produced will retain here itself. So the flux density gradually increases. If the number of turns are increased, the flux density gradually increases. Okay, this you keep it aside. We shall come back to the main law. When you pass a current through this, it sets up a magnetic flux. When a magnetic flux changes with respect to time, when this flux is not constant, this flux should not be constant. When it varies with respect to time, on time scale, if it varies d phi by dt, if d phi by dt exists, Faraday says that an EMF is induced. E. I am writing E. An EMF is induced across the coil. An EMF is induced. I am writing it in capital letter E. An EMF is induced across the coil. Only if and only if this flux is varying with respect to time. If it is not varying with respect to time, if it is a constant flux, no EMF will induce. That is first law. Whenever a magnetic flux linking with a coil changes with respect to time, an EMF is induced. So this EMF, the polarity of this EMF is in such a way that it will oppose the applied voltage V. If the applied voltage is V, then the polarity of E is opposite to that. This law is Lenz's law. These things you have learned. So what is this complete phenomenon is called? This complete phenomenon is called electromagnetic induction. So in particular, this phenomenon is called as self-induction. Because self-induction, why it is self-induction? Because the coil which carries the current itself is inducing a voltage in it, is inducing an EMF in it. That's why it is called as self-induction. Say, now you have understood this self-induction. So I also mentioned one important thing for you, that as you increase the number of turns, the magnetic field density also increases. Yes. So if the magnetic field density is B, that is phi by A. A is the area of cross section. If the magnetic field density increases, means flux is increased, right? Flux is increased. So if the d phi by dt increases, If d phi by dt increases, EMF, the magnitude of the EMF induced also increases. EMF increases, if the rate of change of flux increases, EMF induced also increases. So this is second law. The induced EMF E is directly proportional to the rate of change of flux. Induced EMF is directly proportional to the rate of change of flux. So it is, the proportionality constant is replaced by N into d phi by dt. I will take a sign, minus N into d phi by dt. Why I have taken minus N? Because the polarity of E is opposite to that of the applied voltage. That's why minus N into d phi by dt. So if I increase the number of turns, what will happen? The flux density increases. Accordingly, the induced EMF increases. Induced EMF increases. So induced EMF increases. If the number of turns decreases, amount or the magnitude of EMF also decreases. So this is the background of electromagnetic induction. One must know to understand transformers properly. One must know to understand the principle of transformer properly for the better understanding. So E is directly proportional to the rate of change of flux. So E is given by minus N into d phi by dt. Actually, the notation V, capital letter V, will be used for the applied voltage or the terminal voltage, and E is used for the, capital letter E is used for the induced voltage. Induced voltage. Either it may be a self-induced or mutual induced. Now, till now we have understood the self-induced voltage. Now, what is this mutual induction? What is this mutual induction? Now you have understood the Faraday's first law and second law. Faraday's first law says whenever a flux linking with a coil changes with respect to time, an EMF is induced. That second law states that EMF is directly proportional to the rate of change of flux. That EMF is directly proportional to the rate of change of flux. It is given by E is equal to minus N by N into d phi by dt. N is the number of turns of the coil. Hope you understood this. And also this E is equal to minus N into d phi by dt can also be written as minus N into, minus L into di by dt. Di by dt. Di by dt is the rate of change of current in the coil. Rate of change of current in the coil. Due to this rate of change of current in the coil, an EMF is induced. That is given by minus L into di by dt. What is this parameter? L is called, L is the self-inductance. It is the self-inductance, or in general we can say inductance of the coil. Okay, so these things you have already learned. What is inductance? Inductance is a property by virtue of which it opposes the change in current. These things you have already learned. Just I am reviewing it. It is not there to explain in the exam, neither in exam nor in test. Just I am reviewing it for the better understanding of this transformer principle. Now we shall come back to the mutual induction. As I said, capital letter V will be used for the terminal voltage or the applied voltage. Let me say V1 is the applied voltage, I1 is the current in the primary coil. Let me say this is a primary coil and this is the secondary coil, and this is wounded on a silicon steel core. What is a core? Core is a material which gives a path which gives a path for the magnetic flux or magnetic field, which gives a path for the magnetic field, magnetic flux, sorry, magnetic flux, which gives the path, magnetic path, which magnetic core, this core will give a path for the magnetic field, magnetic flux. So sorry, don't get confused. So this core will give you the path for the magnetic flux, magnetic flux. So in general we can call this core as the magnetic path. It provides the magnetic path for the flow of magnetic flux. Through this the flux will flow. Let me say a flux phi is taking its path, flux phi Webers. What is the unit? Phi Webers. So this is the direction of the flux. Like this it will go, flux. Usually this core will have low reluctance. Reluctance is the opposition to the flow, opposition for the magnetic flux, opposition to the magnetic flux. So it will have low reluctance and high permeability. So usually the permeability will have inversely proportional to the reluctance. So if the reluctance is low, permeability is high. So it will the magnetic core will be of high permeability and low reluctance, and it will give a path for the flow of magnetic flux. Usually the magnetic core is made of silicon steel or ferrite or any iron alloys or powders, we can say. Okay. Let me say this is a silicon steel magnetic core which will give a path for this flux. On this core, two coils are wounded, coil number 1 and coil number 2. Let this coil number 1 be called as primary winding. Primary winding. And let me call this secondary coil as secondary winding. Secondary winding. Primary and the secondary winding. So, this V, capital letter V1 is the primary applied voltage. Primary applied voltage. This I1 is the primary current, the current flowing in the primary coil. E1, as I mentioned earlier, E will be, the notation E will be used for induced voltage, V will be used for terminal voltage. So E1 is what? E1 is the induced voltage, self-induced voltage in the primary coil. E2 is the mutually secondary induced EMF, and V2 is the terminal voltage if a load is connected here. If no load is connected, the open circuit voltage itself is E2. Open circuit voltage itself is E2. If load is connected, then it is V2. Okay. So if it is, the circuit is completed, then it is V2. Otherwise it is E2 only if it is open circuit. Okay. So this is the notation I am following. V1 is the applied voltage, I1 is the primary current, E1 is the primary induced voltage, E2 is the secondary induced voltage, I2 is the secondary current, V2 is the secondary induced voltage. Now we shall understand the principle of transformer. Here the transformer mainly works on the principle of mutual induction. What is this mutual induction? You have already studied, you have already learnt in this video, self-induction. So now what is mutual induction? If a current is passed, an alternating current is passed through a primary coil, it sets up an alternating flux. Yes, it sets up an alternating flux. This alternating flux influence coil this coil according to Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. If the flux changes with respect to time linking with this coil, with a coil, an EMF is induced. So E1 is induced, is the primary induced voltage or self-induced voltage, and its polarity is in such a way that it opposes the applied voltage. So this is the primary induced voltage, and this is the phenomenon that is taking place in the primary coil, that is self-induction. So what is mutual induction? What is mutual induction? Mutual induction is a phenomenon. Mutual induction is a phenomenon due to the current flowing in the primary coil, and due to which the flux produced, an EMF is induced in the secondary coil or the neighboring coil. That phenomenon is called as mutual induction. So when you pass a current in the primary, an EMF is induced in the secondary. That is called as mutual induction. So when you pass a current in the primary, a flux is produced in the core. This flux takes a path in this magnetic core and links the coil number 2. Coil number 2, the complete flux, ideally speaking, if the core is ideal, no leakage flux will be there. Complete flux 5 Webers will be passed through this, and it links the secondary coil, due to which an voltage E2 will be induced. E2 will be induced in the secondary winding. This phenomenon is called mutual induction. Mutual induction, due to which an EMF is induced in the secondary, because this flux is varying with respect to time. According to Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, an EMF is induced in the secondary winding. So this is, if the open circuit, it is open circuit, then the same voltage will appear here also, no? So if open circuit voltage is E2 only. If any load is connected, any load is connected, due to the drop in the voltage, due to the drop in the voltage, due to the resistance, and practically speaking, for a practical transformer, due to the resistance and reactance of this secondary coil, the voltage drop takes place. E2 minus that voltage drop will be equal to V2. E2 minus that voltage drop is equal to V2. So V2 is small, lightly smaller voltage than E2. So V2 is the terminal voltage, almost nearly equal, but it is somewhat smaller than E2 due to the drop in the internal resistance and the reactance of the coil, secondary coil. So this is mutual induction, and this is how a transformer works. This is how a transformer works. So now what I can infer from this study is, whenever you pass a current in the primary, alternating current, strictly speaking, alternating current in the primary, an EMF is induced in the secondary. This phenomenon is mutual induction, and the amount of induced EMF E2 is given by N2 into d phi by dt. If I write E1 is equal to N1 into d phi by dt. Am I right? Yes. d phi by dt. And also E2 can be written like this. E2 is equal to mutual inductance M into current flowing in the primary, di1 by dt. di1 divided by dt. This is also can be written like this. E2 is equal to M into di1 divided by dt. E2 is equal to N2 into d phi by dt. E1 is equal to N1 into d phi by dt. So these are the magnitude of the voltages induced. Now, so the frequency of the complete system remains same. The power in the primary circuit and power in the secondary circuit remains same. Only the voltage levels Here it is V1, here it is V2. Here it is I1, here it is I2. Only the voltage levels and current levels are changing. Please make this important observation in this circuit. Okay, only the current I1, levels of the current, primary current and secondary current is varying. Primary voltage and secondary voltage are varying. So now you can define by this inference what is a transformer. Now I will define what is. Okay, transformer is a static device. Static means what? Stationary. No, nothing part in the transformer is of rotating. Nothing is rotating there. No parts in the transformer is rotating. So transformer is a device, static device which transfers what it transfers. It transfers the power, product of V1 into I1, which transfers the electrical power from one circuit to the other circuit, from one circuit to the other circuit without change in frequency. The frequency remains same. Without change in frequency, with or without change in voltage levels. With or without change in voltage levels. Why I am telling with or without change in voltage levels? If I maintain the number of turns of primary and secondary same, then the induced voltage is also same. So no change in voltage levels also. So that's why I am telling with or without change in voltage levels. If I change the number of turns, then only without change in voltage levels. With the change in voltage levels. Okay. So now I will repeat the definition. A transformer is a static device which transfers electrical power from one circuit to other circuit without change in frequency, with or without change in voltage levels. With change in voltage levels means N1 and N2 are different. Without change in voltage levels means N1 and N2 are same. So this is the basic principle behind transformer. Hope you all understood in detail about the principle of transformer. Now we have this equation. E2 E1. Okay. Now I will write it. Okay, 1 minute. Now you have understood the definition of transformer. Transformer is a static device which transfers electrical power from one circuit to other circuit without change in frequency, with or without change in voltage levels. So E2 is what? N2 E2 by E1 I will make now. I will divide these two equations, E2 divided by E1. So d5 by dt, the same flux ideally speaking, if the magnetic core will not have any leakage flux. So d5 by dt get cancels. So N2 by N1. N2 by N1 is equal to K. I will call this by a term K. What is this K? K is called as transformation ratio. Transformation ratio. So K is called as transformation ratio. This K can also be defined in other ways than N2 by N1 and E2 by E1. What is that other way is, from the basic definition of transformer, we have defined it, the power remains same in the primary and the secondary. Means P1 must be equal to P2. If I take P1 as the primary power and P2 as the secondary power, it must be equal to P2 and it is equal to P according to the definition of the transformer. So what is P1 then? It's a product of primary voltage and primary current. So V1 into I1. And what is P2? P2 is equal to V2 into I2. Is it right? So what is V2 by V1? What is V2 by V1? V2 by V1 is equal to I1 by I2 is equal to K. This is also K. The ratio of I1 by I2 is also K. What is this K? Transformation ratio. So complete equation can be written like this now. For the transformation ratio, can I write like this? I can write like this. What is E2 by E1 is equal to N2 by N1 is equal to I1 by I2 is equal to K. E2 by E1 is equal to N2 by N1 is equal to I1 by I2 is equal to K. So this is the complete transformation equation K. This is the transformation ratio. This is transformation ratio. So now I will give you one mechanical analogy to understand transformer. Mechanical analogy to understand transformer. So here only the power is equal power. The primary power and the secondary power is same. The voltage levels and current levels are changing. So the best example is, you might have seen the using of water pipe. Using of water pipe in your household works. What you will do? You will, if the pipe area of cross section is higher, if the area of cross section of the pipe is higher, what will be there? The flow will be comparatively less for the same densities, the same volume of water in the tank. For the same volume of water in the tank, if you connect one big pipe and if you connect one small pipe, the pressure in the water, the dynamic pressure in the water, the flow of the water is comparatively less in the bigger pipe than in the smaller pipe. In the smaller pipe, it will come with tremendous pressure. If it is a bigger pipe, it will come with low pressure. But the volume of water, what's there in the tank is same now. If you use a big pipe, the same amount of water will be transferred. If another tank is placed here, the same amount of water, the same volume of water is transferred to that tank. But you have used a big pipe for case number 1. For case number 2, you have used a small pipe. Big pipe and small pipe. What happens in the small pipe? The pressure of the current will be higher. Water current. I can say water current. The pressure of the flow. Current is analogous to flow. The flow is higher. But in bigger pipe, what is happening here? In the bigger pipe, the water is coming with lower pressure. But the volume of water, the potential energy stored in the tank is same amount will be transferred to another tank. Only variation in the current and the only variation in the flow. This complete system is analogous to transformer. Analogous, not completely. Somehow it is compared to transformer. What happens in the transformer? The power or the electrical energy is transmitted the same amount, only at different voltage levels. In one circuit the voltage level is higher, in another circuit the voltage level is lower. In one circuit voltage level is lower, in another circuit voltage level is higher. Accordingly, the current also varies. In the transformer primary circuit, if the voltage level is higher, current level will be lower. In the secondary circuit, current level will be higher, voltage level will be lower. If it is a step down transformer. What is step down transformer? If N2 is less than N1, it is a step down transformer. What happens in the step down transformer? The voltage in the primary is higher, current is lower. In the secondary, voltage in the secondary is lower, current will be higher. Voltage and current will vary, but the power remains same. If it is N2 is greater than N1, then what it is called as, this is step down transformer. What is this? N2 is less than, step down. If N2 is greater than, then it is step up transformer. If N2 is equal to N1, what it is called? Unit ratio transformer. Unit ratio transformer. It is also called URT. It is also called as URT. If N2 is equal to N1, it is called as URT, unit ratio transformer. N2 is less than N1, step down. N2 is greater than N1, step up. N2 is equal to N1, ratio transformer. So finally, in a transformer, the power in the primary circuit and the secondary circuit remains same, but the voltage levels changes, frequency remains same. So you have understood the basic principle of transformer, how transformer works, and what are the connecting terms and equation. Okay, what is step up, what is step down, what is unit ratio. So now you may ask, sir, why to change the voltage level, sir? Why to change the current level, sir? I can transmit the power at the same level, sir. What is the need of this transformer, sir? What is the need of this device, sir, in the electrical and electronic system? What is the need of this? The need is very simple. The need is very simple. If you take the power system, the electric power generated at the generating station, say for example, if it is generated at 11 kV, say for example, if it is the power generated at 11 kV, we have to transmit this power over a longer distance. Say for example, the power is generated at the Sharavati receiving station and I had to transmit this till Tumkur, from Jog to Tumkur. So longer distances. Usually in electrical power system, the transmission of power is preferred at very high voltage levels, EHV levels. Say for example 110 kV, 220 kV, 400 kV. 400 kV. So again, to transmit the power at this voltage levels, what device I need? Again I need a transformer. Transformer is the only solution to meet this requirement. Meet this requirement in the power transmission. So this transformer is also called as power transformer. Why to transmit the voltage at the power at the very high voltage level? The simple reason is this: if you raise the voltage, the current will falls in the secondary. As current falls in the secondary, the area of cross section of the conductor reduces. So the cost on the conductor reduces. Simple, the size of the conductor reduces for transmitting very bulk power, and also reduces the losses. I square R losses are reduced, efficiencies increase. That's the reason. This is not there for your syllabus. Just if anyone may ask you, that's why I am telling. So this is for the power transmission. A transformer is needed for stepping up the voltage. So after reaching Tumkur, again I need lower voltage. I need lower voltage. Okay, if I need a lower voltage, again I need a step down transformer here. Here step up transformer, again here a step down transformer. This is one beautiful example for power transmission and distribution. If you take the example of electronic appliances in your home, you may use TV, radio, anything, fridge, washing machine in your household appliances. So in those electronic devices, some parts are operated at 12 volt DC, some parts may operate at 24 volt AC, some parts may operate at 230 volt AC. The main part itself, the main supply will be 230 volt AC. Again I have to, for some part of the parts of the TV, radio and other sub parts of this electronic appliances, I have to use 24 volt DC, 12 volt DC. Which device better give a solution for this? Again, I have to step it down from the available 230 volt AC. Single phase 230 volt will be the supply in your house. Again, I have to step down. So I need a transformer here. So wherever the overall essence can be summarized like this, the different devices are rated for different voltages to meet the requirement of the voltage levels as specified by the devices.